Welcome to You Can Call Me Goddess because you're so much more than a queen. My name is Manuk Vink. I am a trained intuitive energy healer specialized in transforming your body and your life. In this podcast, we are going to be diving into everything to unlock the goddess that you are within you. Think of it as the ultimate glow up from the inside out. It's time to unlock your power. It's time to unlock your magic. So sit back and enjoy the show. Beautiful, and welcome back to another You Can Call Me Goddess podcast. We are back with another podcast, and today is going to get a little, spicy. I don't know if it's spicy or not. It depends. We're going to go into a little bit of feminine energy and the balance between masculine and feminine energy and why that is so important, and also how connecting with your feminine energy allows you to create the things that you desire in your life, as well as I'm going to explain in my own words and through my own experiences how I've struggled with this in the past a lot. Also, when it came to intimacy. So you're going to get a little bit of information about, a little bit of saucy information about what I struggled with and how that manifested in my relationship and why, and how I managed to turn that around or shift that. So we're going to dive a little bit into that, because I don't know about you, but I, for many, many years, had this weird, not weird feeling. I have gone into this before in previous episodes, I think in like my first one of my first ones, where I spoke about how I always felt like large and out of place and, like chunky. I don't know how to explain it. But basically from a young age, because if you know a little bit about my backstory, I grew up abroad. So I grew up in different countries. So at the age of 6, we moved to the Philippines, and I'm a Dutch girl. I am a tall Dutch girl. So that means I am taller than most girls in most countries, except for Serbia or the Netherlands, because their girls are tall. But in Asia, even more so. I was taller as a child than some of the adults. So that always made me feel like I was sticking out like a sore thumb, that I was bigger, that I was more masculine. So it immediately put me in this masculine feeling energy. And so it has been part of my journey to connect back with my feminine energy. And I know this from speaking to many people and many women, that we often struggle connecting with our feminine energy because we feel like we need to take control of a lot of things, and we need to exude control over a lot of things. And we feel like we need to take the reins on certain things. And if we don't do that, then nobody does that. And actually, we did a whole webinar on that last week, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into this topic, as well as let you know that you can still watch last week's webinar to connect a little bit more about the things that I am telling you today in this podcast. And we're actually doing things a little bit different in the webinar. We are now going to start series. So last week was part 1 of the Feminine Power series, so connecting with your feminine power and magnetism, because I want to dive a little bit deeper into these into these webinars and expand on certain topics and answer your questions on these things. And so we are going to be diving deeper into these things, but I felt like also a podcast was necessary so that I could expand a little bit more on my personal story when it comes to connecting with feminine energy and why that is so important and why that has been such a struggle, so that maybe some of you can resonate with it, and also you can start connecting the dots on how this is maybe going on in your life and how you can start shifting this, and how this could be the thing that has been holding you back from actually achieving the thing that you want in your life. Because even if you are a man and you're caught listening to this podcast, this is still important for you, because all of us have feminine and masculine traits. All of us do. So we have this thing called the law of balance, which means everything is always in balance, which means there's always feminine and there's always masculine energy. And the same thing, there's always good, there's always bad. It's always there. You just need to see where it is. So that's what I want to dive into a little bit today, and also why feminine energy and a balance between masculine and feminine energy is extremely important to create the financial abundance that you desire, to create the relationship that you desire, but also to build the business that you desire, and literally the family. So everything that you want to create, we need a balance with masculine and feminine energy. So to explain that, I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation of what feminine and masculine energy mean to me. So masculine energy to me is something that I'm very good at. And that doesn't mean I'm very good at being a man, but I'm very good at taking action. So masculine energy in my mind is taking action, and how I perceive it, taking action, doing the thing. So doing the thing, putting things into action, providing, protecting, really the go-getter, active energy, and to get it done. And if you know me, you know that I will get it done. If it needs to be done, I'll get it done. If you tell me to jump, and that's going to get me the result that I want, I will jump. If you tell me to do, a handstand, which I'm trying to learn anyways now, I can do a headstand now, but not a handstand, then I will do it if it is going to get me to the thing that I desire. But this has bitten me in the butt before. By only taking masculine energy, I have literally shot myself in the foot by not listening to the feminine energy. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit later. So masculine energy, very much go-getting, doing, executing, that type of stuff. That is masculine energy to me. Feminine energy to me is more creative, intuitive, listening, receiving. And we had this conversation in the webinar about submissive, but I think submissive has taken it out of context. It is more receiving. So receiving energy and trusting energy. So landing in it, like landing in the thing that you are creating and allowing it to come to fruition, allowing it to be created. And the beauty of that is that it is so creative, it is volatile, it will go with the flow. And I even referred to this the other day in the webinar. It's like when you think of Mother Nature, I think of that as feminine energy. It is beautiful, it is creative, it is expansive, right? So it's this beautiful, creative, volatile energy, but with that volatility, with that passion, you create the most beautiful things. And with the masculine energy, you put in the action to create those things. But we need both. And even masculine energy is a beautiful container for that beautiful creative energy, right? So now let's go to, let me out myself. I struggled with this a lot. So from a very young age, as you know, I lived in Asia, and I was getting taller than a lot of the girls, and especially as I was entering like my preteens, I guess 10 years old, I was getting taller. I started putting on weight, and that was because the hormones were doing their thing. And if you know about reflections when it comes to genetics, also that was playing a role. It is crazy how accurate that is. The puberty hit. I was obviously struggling with my identity because I was starting to realize who I was, and I started putting on weight because I was, beating myself up, trying to figure out all of this stuff, even though I was really skinny little girl and then put on weight and became tall all at the same time. So fun. And I felt like large, big, masculine, not feminine, not soft, not little. And this was something that stuck with me for a very long time because I felt like I stuck out. And it actually started way earlier because I moved to a country where I was not a native and I stuck out. I felt like I stuck out. So I stuck out everywhere and I had to really find my place. A real great lesson for self-love, self-image. All of this was designed by design. But that I carried with me for many years. I always felt bigger. I always felt larger. I always felt more masculine. So it made it very difficult for me to land in my feminine. And that took me a very long while. And this caused me to have a lot of self-image issues as well because I always felt larger. And the funny thing is, this is one of those things where you have experiences from the past that program your limiting beliefs in the present. So I would carry this with me even though maybe I didn't look larger. Especially at 16, I was really struggling with an eating disorder and I slimmed down so much that I couldn't even be large. But because of my, dysmorphia, body dysmorphia, and these limiting beliefs that I was holding on to, I always felt that way. I felt out of place. And that's also where self-love comes into place, right? Because when you feel out of place, you don't have a spot that you fit in. And especially as high frequency beings, we experience this a lot. I remember really finding that out when I first started working with my first mentor in this space. And she recognized that within me, I had a lot of power. And actually it was that power and that wanting to take up space that was fighting with this self-image, right? Because what we often do when it comes to these things, when we know that we are powerful, on a soul level, we know this. There is this battle between letting everybody see how powerful we are, how magnetic we are, and how amazing we are, and this feeling of unworthiness, this feeling of if we can actually show ourselves fully, because there's this fear of being rejected, right? If you actually show yourself fully. So there's always this battle. So if you find yourself in this space, and probably if you're listening to the podcast anyways, you're probably a very high frequency being because you are afraid to show the world who you truly are and what you are truly capable of. And that is because we have this instinctual belief that if we stick out, we're going to be ostracized, right? We're going to be kicked out of the group. And that is this instinctual belief, when in reality, that is not the case. When you stand in your power, people are going to be magnetized more to you. So if you feel that way, like you can't fully expand and be yourself, and sometimes you don't even know that that's what's happening, that's the beauty of intuition. With intuition, we can look in and see what it is that is blocking you from fully creating the thing that you desire. And a lot of the time it comes down to self-love, self-image, and being afraid of being fully seen, being afraid of fully stepping into your power, when that is the thing that is going to get you what you want most. So tying it back in, we're going to go back to the story. This was something that I struggled with, and I didn't recognize my own power until someone touched within me by telling me, okay, let's not even go there. Touched within me how powerful I was. And it was like my soul finally felt heard and seen. And I was like, oh my God, yes, I am this powerful. What have I been? Like, it was this feeling of like recognition, this recognition that I am powerful, I am amazing, I am magnetic. And part of that is feminine energy, but I couldn't see that. And there was this focus on how I was always bigger, clunkier. There was even this focus on me being clumsy. And I had this belief that I was clumsy, clunky, and they even like had this saying, because I studied in the UK, like hench, right? Is it hench? Hench is like, it's like in Dutch we also have like what do we say? Like a kast, like a closet. That's what are these weird ways of explaining this stuff? A kast is like a closet. So if you're like strong, so I'm a strong girl, right? And I've always been a pretty strong girl. And although, I mean, I train now, so I've always been a strong girl. I've been tall. So there was this word that we would joke around about, and I would feel like I was this bigger, stronger, manlier girl. And I actually didn't want to be that, because I wanted to be feminine. But because of me identifying with the other thing and connecting with the limiting belief that I was this manly woman, that I couldn't connect and feel and land in my femininity. That's what it felt like, even though that's not the case. Right now I know I'm a very feminine woman, but it took me a while to get there. And I would have my moments where I would realize that, and then there were moments that I didn't. And this is where I was too afraid of, and that's also like a protection mechanism, right? Because if I'm more in my masculine, then I have full control over the situation, when in reality that is not the case. When you are trying to exude control from the external and trying to control things and contain things, you're actually not allowing things to grow and to flourish. So I was blocking myself from fully landing in my femininity and in my beauty. And that had to do with a worthiness as well, right? There was like a worthiness of that, of being beautiful enough, being feminine enough. And nowadays, especially, we're being bombarded with so many of these images of what actually, nowadays it's all messed up, but what femininity looks like, we don't even know anymore because it's all over the shop. But anyways, that is a whole nother topic, which I don't know if we should get into in this podcast, because I don't know if you guys might all agree with me. But, for me, I feel like we need to go a little bit back to the traditional male and female, just a little bit, just let's reel it back in a little bit. But anyways, I love that. And that's a thing also with that, right? With society nowadays, femininity, masculinity, it's all becoming confusing. We're like making all of them toxic. We're making all of them a mix. We don't even know what feminine and masculine energy is anymore, because it's all become a mix. And that is also by design, because the more we can't see the power in either, and we demonize either femininity or masculinity, which they've done, right? Like femininity being submissive, not having control, and not being able to do what you want to do, that has been linked to femininity, when in reality, that is not the case. When you think of masculinity, it's the same thing. They've taken the traits that are masculine, they've made them toxic, whereas they're not actually toxic. Protector, provider, like creator as in physical action, and then you've got the feminine energy, which is creative, which is, beauty and essence and all of that stuff. So they've taken each of these traits and they've made them both toxic. And so now we're in this space where we don't know where we're meant to land. Like, are we meant to be more masculine? Are we meant to be more feminine? And this is disconnecting us from our power, because what we need to be is both in the right percentages, right? So we need to be 50-50 in the right areas of life. Because if we're leaning too much in the masculine energy, then we're not in this receiving creative energy. We're not connecting with the intuitive energy, because the feminine energy is intuitive. That's what I mean. If you're a man, that is just as important for you as it is for a woman. But because they're being demonized and pinned against each other, we can't see the balance in both of them. And I feel like I'm going from here to there, and we're going to get back to the story, but I think it's important that you see why it is important to have both. And when it comes to the masculine energy, because it's being demonized, we now feel like we can't have a protector or provider. We can't create safety through those actions. And it puts this masculine energy onto women, which you can still have, but it doesn't allow you to lean into masculine energy where someone can take care of you. That is okay to lean into that. But to be able to lean into that, to be able to create that, you need to hold both the pieces yourself. And I think that is where there is an importance there. So I'm going to go back to that in just a second. I'm going to turn back to that in just a second. But let me first go back to how I was feeling and how that impacted me, so that you can see how this has shifted. And maybe if you've been feeling like that, like you have been too much in your masculine, you can't land in your feminine, you don't feel like you have that feminine energy, it could be holding you back. Because when you are too much in the masculine, like I said, you don't take intuitive action. You're taking actions that you're programmed to take. So when it comes to this belief system of we need to work from 9 to 5, hard work equals more success, right? And to be successful, you need to do X, Y, and Z. This is all very masculine action. So these are all actions that we go and we take action and we take control. Where with these actions, we don't connect with the intuitive. And so what happens here, what I've discovered through intuition, through training my intuition and leaning into the energetic world, you start understanding that you can take all the masculine actions, but if you're not connected with your intuition or your intuitive belief systems or ideas, you're not going to get very far. You're not going to get the results that you want, because a lot of people that were successful took intuitive actions, and intuitive actions are feminine actions. They are receiving, because intuition is receiving information from the outside world and translating it and then taking action on the information that you are receiving, rather than taking action on the information that you are being told or programmed to believe. And to receive, we need to connect with energies, with our intuition. We need to sit and receive the information from different channels, whether that be source, whether that be our higher self, whether that be our body, whether that be from people around us. We're constantly getting intuitive information everywhere that we go. But because we are so focused on taking the masculine action, we're not in this receiving state. We're up here in the brain. We're not listening to the heart. We're in the brain and we're taking actions based on what we've been told rather than what we intuitively know is going to get us farther. And this is why intuition is so extremely important. Connecting with that feminine energy, connecting with your intuition allows you to take actions that will get you results, because your higher self and your intuition is guiding you in the right direction. Your intuition is never wrong. But emotional actions that we take are based off of bad programming that we believe is going to get us further. And that is that masculine action, that masculine energy. We take actions because we feel like if we don't do X, Y, and Z, we are not worthy, we don't have control, and nothing happens. So that goes back into that feminine, where we land into that trusting. So trusting that the information that we're getting from our intuition is correct. Trusting that when we take the actions, that we will receive what is meant to come to us. And this is going to help you not only in your financial area of life, but also in your business area of life. Because if you're not connecting with your energy and you're not connecting with with your intuition on what next steps to take, then you're going to take physical actions, but you're not connecting with the deeper root of why you're not getting what you're meant to be getting. And I know this might sound a little brainy, but basically, if you've listened to my previous podcasts and some of my content, you know that shifting your reality starts from within. And if we can't connect with our body and we can't connect with our intuition and connect with our subconscious to see what we have written in our energetic field, then that is going to be very difficult for us to be able to shift our reality. So we'll constantly take actions to create things. However, we're taking these actions to create things, and we haven't shifted our internal belief systems. We haven't shifted the way that we take action on things. We haven't listened to our intuition on whether step A is the right step or step B is the right step. And so this is where we keep shooting ourselves in the foot, because what happens then, we're going to get feedback from the universe that we didn't listen to our intuition and therefore we didn't get the result that we wanted. But because we've never been taught to connect with our intuition, which you can change today, but because we've never been taught to connect with our intuition, we don't even know that we are taking actions based off of bad programming or emotions. We think that maybe we're taking intuitive decisions, but in reality, you're taking decisions and steps based on what society has been telling you to do. And that could be work harder and get better results, when in reality, if you listen to your intuition, you're going to take steps that maybe you normally wouldn't have taken, but it is actually going to guide you to the path that was meant for you. And that is where that feminine energy comes in, where we have to sit still, take a moment and stop taking actions. Just stop for a moment and actually ask yourself, have I taken, first of all the actions that I can take to create the result that I desire? Or do I need to shift something energetically within myself because I keep constantly bumping up against the same obstacle? This obstacle must be coming from a limiting belief that I hold within myself. But we don't do that. We bulldoze through it. And then we get a bigger obstacle because we're not facing it. And this is where connecting with that feminine energy allows you to become more magnetic to what is meant for you, not only because you're connecting with your intuition and connecting with what is meant for you, but also because now you are in this state of receiving. And part of that energetic shift and part of that feminine energy is having this inner knowing that you are worthy and you are perfect and beautiful and creative, and therefore whatever is meant to come to you will come to you. So you have this inner trust that it is going to land with you. And this destabilization of masculine feminine energy obviously takes away the power in that, because we're demonizing each side. So when we demonize each side, we can't find power in one or the other, because both of them seem to be bad. We're being told that each of them seem to be bad. So then what do we connect to? There's no more foundation to connect to. And when you start connecting back with your intuition, with your masculine and your feminine energy, and you start finding that balance between the two, you connect back with your power and you start noticing, okay, am I too much in my masculine here or am I too much in my feminine here? Because being only in the receiving energy, you're not going to take the actions necessary to move the needle forward. Now, how this also represented in my relationship was that because I didn't see myself as feminine enough, I guess, I wasn't fully landing in my feminine. I wasn't seeing my feminine beauty. I was very judgmental of myself. And that was a protective mechanism. Obviously not knowing that when I was doing it, but it was a protective mechanism. It made me so much in this masculine energy that it would interfere also in relationships, because I was in such a taking action, go-getter energy, which is good, right? There's good in that, but there needs to be, like I said, a balance. It would repel the masculine energy, because basically I was taking on all the masculine energy, that there was no space for, if there was a partner, for them to take in that masculine energy. And if there wasn't a partner, it wouldn't be that attracted to me, because I would be taking all those masculine marbles. We call it the law of marbles. So I was taking all of that. So there was no space for someone else to come in and take on that role in my life, because I was too afraid to let go of it. And this interfered later on in relationships where I felt so masculine, I felt so clunky and this and that. I couldn't connect with my femininity. Even though I knew it was there, I was judging myself. I didn't value myself and didn't see the femininity within myself, didn't see the beauty. And obviously that all had to do with self-image. And because of that, my partner would reflect back at me that I didn't hold those pieces, right? So my partner would reflect that back at me, and this would interfere with intimacy as well, because I would try to control the situation when it came to intimacy, rather than be in that receiving state and allowing things to flow and go how they were meant to go. And I would put pressure on these things, because I would make intimacy mean that I was valued as a woman, that I was a woman, that I was feminine. And if that intimacy didn't occur, that meant that I wasn't feminine, I wasn't beautiful, I wasn't valuable. So then I would beat myself up again, but I would stay in this cycle of taking the action, stepping into the masculine, rather than being in that receiving energy of opening myself up and allowing that energy to come to me. And if you even think about it, when you think of intimacy and being together, when one is too much in the masculine and not in that receiving soft energy in that moment and in that trusting energy, then you can even feel it in the energy. It clashes. It doesn't flow together. And so I'm talking about it with intimacy, but think about it with your financial situation. If you're not allowing that receiving energy to come to you, and you're trying to control every situation, so think about it like that, right? You're trying to control every situation. You're trying to force or pressure something to come in, it's not going to happen. And that's that masculine energy trying to force it. And we need it again. We need it in the right moments. But when it's overdone, we overforce this to happen. So think of money as you would think of intimacy. When you look at it like that, so you're trying to force this thing to come your way, what ends up happening, you repel it. It doesn't become attractive. It becomes kind of icky, like, ugh, no, I don't want this. So money will feel the same way. It's like, again, the law of opposing forces. The more you want something, the more you push it away. And again, that is that attract instead of chase, right? So that, again, is that feminine receiving energy. When you can connect with that persona, think of that beautiful feminine receiving energy. And when you can connect with that, that is very welcoming energy. That is very magnetic energy. And each and every one of us, man, female, all of man, woman, female, male, I don't know what I'm saying. We all hold these pieces. We all have that feminine. We all have that masculine energy. But having that combination of both and actually stepping in that role when it needs to be, like where you need to be stepping in that role. And that is obviously also where masculine and feminine comes into play, because as a woman, there's some areas where we should be more in our feminine and allow ourselves to feel safe and just allow ourselves for that creativity to come out and create a safe space to create, to generate, to make this beautiful thing that is life, right? Because that is what feminine power can do. It brings life. Whether that is bringing life to a child, bringing life to a creation, bringing life to a business idea, bringing life anywhere. We bring that life. We bring that color. The masculine creates the structure for it. So the masculine creates the structure for it, but the feminine is what creates that creativity, that beauty. That is what actually brings in the beauty of what you can create and the power of what you can create. And so with the structure, we actually dictate the feminine actually dictates what gets created. So again, when it comes to intimacy, financial situation, even the body, right? Think of all of these things. If the structure is there, so the structure, the stability, the foundation is there. Now, stepping into that role of allowing the thing to come to you because you have an inner knowing and inner trust that it will come to you because you are so content and comfortable with yourself that you know the thing that you are trying to create or that you are creating is going to come to you. And that is the same thing, that power. If you think of that feminine energy, think of when you're in a relationship, if you have that landing home, it's home, that landing home creative energy, that soft, warm energy. That is way more inviting than the one that's trying to create structure, the one that's trying to force something somewhere. And so when we've created the structure, we have to let it go and then step into that receiving energy of allowing it to come to us. I hope you're still following what I'm trying to say. But that is kind of what it is. It's the same with your business or financial situation. You created the structure, you're taking the actions. Now we need to look at the energetic component. We need to look at the feminine component of being receiving, of allowing the flow to come to you, but also having that inner knowing. And that's where it ties back into your self-image, your self-love. It's that inner knowing that you are deserving, you are worthy, you are magnetic, you are divine. You have this innate ability to create the thing that you want to create, and that the thing that is meant for you is going to come to you. There is this big component that is the feminine, that is trusting that what is meant for you is going to come to you. So although I've gone into many directions with this, I hope you're seeing what I'm trying to depict here and why this is important. Because when we are fully in the masculine, we are missing an entire component. We're not listening to the intuition. We're not listening to the energetics. And the energetics, as you may know by now, plays a massive role in what you're trying to create. When we're fully in the feminine, we're not creating structure. We're not creating a foundation. We're not going out and getting what we want. But there has to be a balance, because you can go out and get what you want. But if you're not in the receiving energy and you're constantly in this hyper-aware, hyperactive, hyper-take control energy, then the thing that you are trying to get, you can go and get it, but it will not stay with you, will not land with you. And that is why that is like, look at going and getting a boyfriend. If you're going out there, you're getting a boyfriend, you've got him, but you're too controlling, too trying to maintain everything, the person's gonna go away. It's the same with money. If you try to hold on too tight and try to control it too much in the masculine and contain it, you still need to take the masculine energy to go and get it. But then you need to trust and let it land with you. And obviously, look, I am talking about this in a very roundabout way today in the podcast, but there are specific tools, because you may still be getting hung up on it. If you're like, yeah, but I'm doing all the things, I'm doing the receiving, I'm taking all the actions. There are like sometimes moments where your subconscious can get in the way and you haven't fully shifted belief systems, or sometimes your ego will tell you that you are landed. But a lot of the time, 9 out of 10 times, if you say you're not emotional about something, you're 100% emotional about something. Like the majority of us don't know. Like the majority of us, let me actually look into. Like the majority of us are maybe like 24% aware of how emotional we really are. Believe me, I get caught on this red-handed all the time. I'm like, I'm not emotional about it. And then later I'm like, I was 100% emotional about it. I just didn't realize that. And that's where intuition obviously is so beautiful, because you can actually look in and see how emotional you are about it. But this is what I'm saying. We get tricked somewhere where we don't actually land in that. But there is so much beauty in that. There's so much beauty and power in the feminine energy. And the thing is, like, we're talking about them and energies, but also as a woman, it's so funny because obviously we hold more feminine traits as a woman. We should hold more traits. And it's so funny because we have this belief that Feminine energy is not, well, maybe you don't anymore, so that's good, but feminine energy is not as powerful as masculine. I'm here to tell you that it's probably more powerful. Literally the other day, I was diving into communication and how communication really works. And this is a skill set that I am developing and working on more and more. And it's so funny because as a woman, we have so much control over, even just as a human being, but as a woman, we have so much control over our external world, especially like our partners. Like all they want is to make us happy. So if we literally just tell them what we want and praise them for it, they will keep doing that thing. Like that is the funny thing. And we make it more complicated by not like actually praising the person, because we're always looking for the next thing, like that they need to do better. But anyways, this is a whole tangent that I'm going to go into. But the thing is, like, we hold the power. We literally are dictating what happens. And I've heard men say this before to me, where they're like, yeah, we literally, like, if the universe or if the world tells us that women like big shoulders, all men will go out there and try to get big shoulders, because they literally will do whatever they need to attract a woman. It's so funny. And that's the thing. Here we are in our as a feminine, as women, and we're chasing when we need to be attracted. We have that innate power of attracting, but because we're trying to control it so much from the external and we're being masculine about it, we are not attracting it, and we're pushing it away. We're actually making it so much more complicated than it needs to be. And I know that it's so much easier said than done, because this is a lesson that we all need to learn. This lesson of self-love, seeing our beauty, seeing our femininity as power, and stepping into that. And this is also because the pendulum is swinging so far in the other direction when it comes to feminine and masculine energy and all of this stuff, that we are lost in what it means and what it represents. And that is what I wanted to help you with today in this podcast. I wanted you to connect back with the power in feminine energy and why it is important to have both the physical, they tie in together, the masculine and the feminine energy. And it does align a little bit with physical and energetic actions, which I will dive into deeper into another podcast, but they do align a lot in many ways, because feminine energy is so much more energetic, so much more intuitive, so much more receiving and trusting. And that feminine energy is also shifting those belief systems. And a lot of the time, because we're taking all the masculine actions, we miss that component. So if you're struggling to achieve results in the area of life that is most important to you, and you're taking all the masculine action, a lot of the time that is an indicator that you need to be more in that receiving, trusting energy, but also that there's an underlying block that has been holding you back. I promise you, the moment I started connecting more with my feminine energy, I started seeing the beauty and the power in my feminine energy. I started embracing that, because femininity is whatever feels like, because power is also feminine. It's so like, we have creator power. We literally put life on this earth. We create babies, like, with the help of the masculine, you see? So they come hand in hand, but we are the ones that build and create and, nurture and grow the thing that is meant to come to life. So that is ultimate power. So if you've ever felt like feminine energy is not powerful, I am here to tell you that is 100% wrong. It is one of the most powerful energies. And when you can connect with that, and when you can start trusting in your feminine energy, and also seeing your femininity, seeing your beauty, because there's so much beauty in femininity. There is so much beauty in that. It is literally the epitome of beauty to me. It's that energy. And the confidence that comes with that, when you step into that feminine energy, that feminine persona. I once decided to do a heel, like, floor dance class to connect more with my feminine energy, because I was always doing, like, weight training and all of that stuff, and it's much more masculine. Feminine energy, again, dance and stuff like that, is way more feminine. And I realized, like, it got me to connect with the fact that this persona that I'd been telling myself that I was this clunky, masculine, large woman, was not the case, because all of us can connect with that femininity. Putting on those heels and doing those sensual dances allowed me to connect with my feminine energy and my feminine beauty. And the only reason it has maybe been difficult for you to connect with that is because of the limiting beliefs. It's because of thoughts and belief systems that you've been holding on to that are not actually true about yourself. And yes, you probably do hold masculine traits, but everybody does. And now it's about embodying that feminine magnetic energy, because that magnetic energy is also feminine. We magnetize things to us. Look at the animal world. A lot of the time, it's like, is it actually? I don't know if I'm saying that. But again, chase and attract, right? Like, because I'm thinking of a peacock, and actually a peacock, but that's peacocking. It's like showing off, right? It's a different thing. But they peacock. A peacock does that to attract a woman, right? To impress. So we are literally, the feminine is the ruler of what gets created, because they want us to be attracted to them. They're trying to get us to come to them, or to draw us in or chase us to create the thing that they want. Because without the feminine energy, there is no creation. There is none of that. All right, beautiful. I feel like I've gone in so many directions with this podcast. If I didn't explain anything, or you're still feeling stuck or lost on anything that I explained in today's podcast, hopefully this allows you to land and connect with some things. One of the things that I want you to become aware of when you start doing this, when you start embodying that feminine energy, that magnetic energy, you start connecting with your femininity, your beauty, your receiving energy, you will start to notice that people will start doing things for you. So literally today, I was connecting more with an ingredient that had to do with my value. And because of that, someone literally, like a man literally at a shop, I had a lot of groceries, he had a lot of groceries, but he said, you can go first. And I was like, that is the feminine energy that I'm working on. So these are little things that you can start noticing, like little breadcrumbs of how your feminine energy starts to work for you. So people will start opening doors for you. People will start offering you like maybe a coffee, or allowing you in front, or making way for you. And this, embrace these moments, because a lot of us tend to then want to say, no, thank you, that's okay, I don't really need that. No, receive. This is where you embrace that feminine energy. Allow it to be there, because when you let the universe know that you will receive, and that you are open to receiving things instead of rejecting them, because then you're shutting down the channels for this to come to you. But when you're open to receiving things, more of that will come to you. So this is your homework. If you're getting someone buying you a coffee for you, receive it. If you're getting a compliment, receive it. Do not bounce it back off. Do not shy away. Allow yourself to receive it, because that is all feminine energy. And when you tap more into that receiving energy, you will get more of it. Watch how this grows the more you do this. Otherwise, you're literally signaling to the universe that you don't want any of it, and that you're shutting it down. And we don't want that. So allow the flow, let it open up. And this will also, you will notice, even my partner, I've noticed when I've done this more, he will go out of his way to help me with things financially, physically. He will work around me. Now, I don't know about you, but that's how we roll. And the more you try to control and stand in your masculine, the more you stop that from happening. And this obviously has effect all around, like in all areas, right? It has effect on blocking your body, because if you're stuck and you're not receiving, your body's going to bloat. It's not going to move. These are all ways in which this happens. Same with money. Just copy paste that statement in any area. Money will block, it will not flow. Your relationship will block, it will not flow. If you do not land in your feminine energy and you do not connect with it, it is going to put like a block on allowing it to be received. So play around with that. I hope this was helpful, and keep an eye on your inbox if you're in the free membership. Otherwise, feel free to reach out. You can join. I have all the links in the show notes, because we will be updating the webinars very soon to maybe going to weekly instead of bi-weekly. But go and watch the feminine energy webinar, And keep your eyes open because we are going to be diving deeper into these topics. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, reach out to me, because those questions is also what makes the webinars, because I want you to get all the clarity and the information that you need to start shifting your reality. All right, beautiful. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And I can't wait to see you very soon, hopefully in one of the webinars or in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to You Can Call Me Goddess. I am so happy that you joined us in this show today. If you feel like this podcast gave you any sort of life change or value, then share it with someone you think would also get a lot of value out of it, because maybe it could just be that one thing that changes that person's life. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a nice rating below or in the show, because we would love to expand more on topics that you enjoy and keep this podcast up and running. Anyways, thank you, beautiful, and I hope to see you in the next podcast.